That's right. That's right. I was still hype about it. It's been 48 hours, but it still feels great. Let's talk about it.
Fasten your seatbelts for the realest Eagles Invictor YouTuber! One who plays no clickbait and gets to the point! The myth, the legend, Nicky Stees! Come to my channel, you know the deal. Yo, boy, always keeps things real. I'm simply statue, think they slate, dropping unrealistic mad 2K takes for the clip. Even though cats like that get views closer to the milli, never hear me preach, flip on to Philly. Avoid you watching the Eagles all the way through the early 22. Authentic talk, forget what others do. Come to my channel, you know the deal. Yo, boy, always keeps things real. The 24/7, 365 way. Sports content for the reals that fill the day.
Yeah, howdy, folks. Good evening. It's your boy Nicky Stees here. We back. I said we'd be back. I was thinking maybe Sunday, Monday, latest Tuesday. It's Tuesday night. We here talking about it. Super Bowl 59 is in the books, and the Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions for the second time in franchise history. This is the second time in 7 seasons we won the Super Bowl, third Super Bowl appearance in 7 seasons. That's right, folks. That's right. The Eagles are the top dogs in the NFC. Now we got 2 Super Bowl wins. And let me tell you what's great about it. That moves us up the historical protocol. And let's face it, we in the best time period in Eagles franchise history. That's right, folks. We in the best time period. We have 2 Super Bowl wins now that in the past decade, 3 Super Bowl appearances. That takes us out of that category from where we were a decade ago. We were ringless peasants. Ringless peasants. Now we got 2. And even after 1, we were still in that same category with Seattle and New Orleans. Who are the other one-time winners? The other one-time winners in the league, such as the Jets. You know, the Jets hadn't even been to a Super Bowl in nearly a century. It's been half a century since the Jets have been to a Super Bowl. A little more than. But we went from 1 Super Bowl win to, hey, at least we got to win, like the New Orleans Saints and the Seattle Seahawks, to now, guess what? We got 2 of them. Now we're in that Indianapolis Colts, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Los Angeles Rams territory of having 2 wins. We got the NFC Champion Cup right here to toast. I tell you, man, it feels great. Now, I'm not as hyped as I was about on Sunday night. I came back Sunday night, and I dropped that video. You remember? It was that Let's Fucking Go video. And now, had a few more days to think about it. Still feels great to see that right there. Super Bowl 59 champion Philadelphia Eagles. We was talking about a three-peat, folks. Everyone in the media was saying there could be a three-peat. Kansas City could three-peat. At first, after the game happened, when we beat Washington, I was confident. But it wasn't until we got closer to the game that I started to feel more confident. My confidence levels in the Eagles increased, and I had a feeling like, okay, yeah, I think we could win this game. However, even when that happened, I still was thinking along the lines of, okay, maybe we'll win 34-30 was my original score prediction. I figured it would be a competitive game. And it was not at all. This was in no way competitive. This was a one-sided Philadelphia Eagles massacre, which as an Eagles fan, I loved it. I loved it. Some of the other casual fans may have thought it was boring, but as Eagles fans, we loved it. Let's face it. This was an old school NFC Super Bowl beatdown. We took the sin to Kansas City Chiefs, laid them on their stomachs, got the belt ready, and whooped their asses. That's right. Belt to ass, folks. Belt to ass. I mean, all game long, this defense was absolutely on fire. I mean, folks, the Philadelphia Eagles did not win the Super Bowl. Shout out to the Link Up podcast. Simone Stanley was on that podcast with Lord Brunson and Tone DeShields, Chalk It Up Sports, said it best. I caught a reel they shared from their Instagram page, Link Up Podcast. I'm going to share that with you guys because Simone put it best about what we did to Kansas City. We should. Listen up.
We broke the Chiefs.
That's hard to come back from.
We broke their backs. Nobody is scared of the Chiefs no more. We snatched their glow. We snatched their aura. We made them look like a regular ass team that wasn't built to go up against them Philly dogs. Their aura is gone. Nobody is scared of the Chiefs no more because of the Eagles. We pulled the mask off. And it was a clown underneath. Now everybody see the Chiefs for some clowns. Everybody is approaching the Chiefs now like they ain't she. They're not approaching the Chiefs anymore like they the big bad wolves. They approaching the Chiefs like these bum ass. We seen y'all on national TV in front of 400 million viewers look like some frauds.
I love it. And that's a perfect analogy to segue into what I have to say. We did not just defeat the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. We destroyed them. For everyone that is tired, that doesn't want Kansas City to be the new New England Patriots, we did this for them. Right? We beat the Patriots Super Bowl 52. The Giants beat them Super Bowls 42 and 46. However, in none of those three games, the Giants 2 wins over them and our win against them, in any of those instances, did either the Giants or us dominate the Patriots? Yeah, we beat them. The Giants beat them, but they didn't dominate. Now, Kansas City now, in their 2 Super Bowl losses in the Mahomes era, were dominated. They won it. Remember, Super Bowl 55 against San Fran. Super Bowl 56, they got dominated by Tampa Bay. Super Bowl 58, Super Bowl 57, they beat us. Super Bowl 58, they got the win. No, wait, that was Super Bowl 54. They won. 55, they lost. Then won 57 against 58 last year. And then 59, we got our revenge. We absolutely destroyed them. That defensive strategy, bolstered together by Vic Fangio, one of the best, the best Super Bowl defensive game plan since Todd Bowles in Super Bowl 55, folks. That's what was up on Sunday night. So shout out to Vic Fangio, man. He put together a great defensive plan, and he's got a hell of a quarterback there. Jalen Carter, only second year, already looking elite. You got Quinyon Mitchell, already showed that he was the correct guy, that he was the correct choice. Cooper DeJean, already looking like a stud. Had himself a pass deflection this one. Zach Bond all season long. Tearing it up. He needs a contract, folks. The real ice cream. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You got even CJ Gardner Johnson back in the mix. Gave us something we didn't have there. And Cooper DeJean and Zach Bond, like I said, they were the dogs. They got them interceptions too. Appreciate it. Hope you do good in life. Peace, brother. Appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by, showing your support as always. Really appreciate it. We got Star Wars 99 in the chat. That's right. Super Bowl MVP, Jalen Hurts. That is right. Right. And, man, we're saying this is whole team, man. Like I said, the defense, the offense. Now, Saquon Barkley was the main reason we got to this stage. However, come Super Bowl time, KC was ready for Saquon. They were ready for him. And it's crazy because me and Mitch both appeared on the Sunday morning countdown show exclusively on the Hardcore Sports Network with Football Talk with Bo and James Franco. And during that show, shout out to Football Talk with Bo, he stated that he believed that the Chiefs were going to zone in on Saquon and that would be up to Hurts to play well. Little D Griffith, thanks for stopping by. And he was right. He was absolutely correct. He said it that the Eagles, that he said we're going to have to rely on Jalen Hurts because Kansas City was going to go for Saquon. They're going to be ready for him. And that's exactly what happened. And Jalen Hurts had to step up. Saquon was limited, only 57 yards and 25 carries in the ground game. Now, in the passing game, 6 receptions, 40 yards. He was still decent. He did have a 22-yarder in there, so he was still solid in the passing game. And that ties into Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts himself was 17 for 22, 221 yards, and rushing 11 carries, 72 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, all around passing and rushing. Jalen Hurts was on point in this game. He was Mr. Dynamic and rightfully won the Super Bowl MVP. You got Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, touchdown receptions. Jahan Dotson got a big touchdown reception that set up the tush push to score. It was all, from the opening kickoff, it was all Eagles. And great, we scored that second drive. First drive, there was an offensive pass interference that would have gave us a first down. On a fourth down, play got called back. We decided to punt. But we went out there, we stopped them, got the ball back, scored a touchdown, and took over from there all game long. And the difference between this time and last time, it became pretty evident early that this wasn't going to be like last time. When the Eagles eventually got to a 24-0 lead, you knew, I'm like, there's no way. This is not a repeat of the last time we played them. This isn't, 2022-23 Super Bowl. Yeah, we were up at one point, but I never truly felt confident in that one that we were going to win. Even when we were up, I'm like, okay, we're looking good so far. We at least got a chance, but it was never like truly confident we're going to win. But here we are now on Sunday when we were up 24-0. I'm like, okay, we got this. This isn't like last time. Because I remember I was reminding myself, last time we had Jonathan Gannon as the defensive coordinator, we saw that all fell apart. This time we got Vic Fangio. We're playing much harder this time around defensively than we did the first time. There's no way they're coming back. And that's exactly what happened. All right, we zoned in on them. They didn't score any points, until late in the second half. It was we were up 34-0 when they finally scored a touchdown. I mean, geez, by that point, most of the fans were already celebrating by that point. So the Eagles didn't have to play as hard. And then Kansas City ultimately did score 2 more touchdowns in garbage time, but the game was well out of reach. Well out of reach. We were up 40-6. At that point when they started to score points, it didn't matter, folks. We didn't have to play as hard, so who cares about that? You take away those 2 touchdowns in garbage time and look at the game from when both teams were actually playing, the Eagles dominated in every facet. Patrick Mahomes, the great Patrick Mahomes, looked mortal in this one. Looked mortal. Multiple interceptions. Pick 6 to go up 17-0. 2 drives later, another interception. Patrick Mahomes threw multiple picks in this game. Our defense had him zoned in. We blitzed the whole game. We forced him to play under pressure. And that's what happens when you force a guy like Patrick Mahomes to throw under pressure. He gets uncomfortable. He doesn't know how to set himself in those pressure situations. He's so used to just being able to get rid of the ball. Now, he can get rid of the ball quickly, but he's so used to having time to get himself set without any defenders in his face. Once you bring that pressure on him, he doesn't know what to do. He cannot play. And that's what happened all game. The Eagles were bringing pressure. Mahomes was being forced to make throws he wasn't comfortable with, and we got to him. Got a couple picks, got 6 sacks. I mean, it was just... It was an absolute dominant performance on both sides of the ball. And the crazy part is most of these guys that helped us win this game, oh, you best believe they coming back. Like I said, Jalen Carter, 2nd year. Cooper DeJean, rookie. Quinyon Mitchell, rookie. Zach Bond, make some room to sign him. These guys are coming back, folks. And on the offensive side of the ball, Jalen Hurts, locked up. Saquon locked up for a few years. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. These guys are coming back, folks. There's an opportunity at another Super Bowl. That would be 3. You're possibly looking at a little Philadelphia dynasty here. I remember Michael Irvin one time, when the Eagles were building up in the 2023 offseason through free agency and then the draft. Michael Irvin said there was a possibility of a Philadelphia dynasty in the making. One Super Bowl has already been won. It could be another and then another. Crazy. The all-time great Cowboy Michael Irvin said it might happen. He thinks there might be a Philadelphia dynasty, and we got one win. It could happen, Eagles fans. There's plenty of reason to be excited. It could happen. Now, time will tell if that actually does end up being the case, but the hype is there, folks, for multiple Super Bowl wins in this era. And let's talk about Jalen Hurts a little bit more. He won the MVP of the Super Bowl. And what I want to point out specifically that not only did he win the Super Bowl MVP, but he stepped up against all his critics. All of his critics that said he's a game manager. He's not a real deal quarterback. He's not on Patrick Mahomes' level. He's not on Josh Allen's level. He's not on Lamar's level. Now, I will say this. If you want to say that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are better regular season quarterbacks than Jalen Hurts on a consistent basis, that is true. I will give you that. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are more consistently better regular season quarterbacks. But we're not talking about the regular season, folks. We're talking about the big games. Jalen Hurts, 2nd season as the starter, led the Eagles to home field, then led them to 2 playoff wins to clinch a Super Bowl berth. Played an excellent performance in a loss against Kansas City. Yeah, last year, the whole team, including Jalen Hurts, deserves blame for that collapse. But you come back from that. You get Saquon. You make the playoffs. Jalen Hurts didn't have the greatest regular season in the world. He looked like more of a game manager QB going into the playoffs. It looked like Saquon was going to be the guy that carried this run. And to some degree, he still did. But also, Jalen Hurts, this is where he comes into play. NFC Championship game. The biggest game of the season as of January. He plays the best game of the season. He saves his best for then. Has an excellent day. He doesn't get sacked multiple times like he did against the Rams. Him and Saquon ball out. Then you come back to the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts multiple touchdown passes, no turnovers, effective on the ground game, gets a tush-push touchdown, has himself another stellar Super Bowl performance, this time in victory. So now you got a Super Bowl MVP, 2 excellent Super Bowl performances under the young man's belt. You can't deny his value now. You can't take him out of the top quarterback conversation. I don't want to hear he's a game manager. He's not this great. He's not that great. Because here's the thing. Yeah, you can say regular season he didn't play the greatest, but there's a Hall of Fame quarterback that played for a division rival in the NFC East that's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He didn't play the greatest during the regular season back in the 90s. But come playoff time, he played his best and helped lead, spoiler alert, the Dallas Cowboys to 3 Super Bowls. The point I'm getting at is, it really doesn't matter how great you play during the regular season. It's what you do when you step up come playoff time. And nobody doubts Troy Aikman's legacy because he did play great in big game situations and won 3 rings. Now, Jalen Hurts has his first ring. He's still young. He still has time to get more rings. He played well in the most important games. So the point I'm getting at is, if we want to talk about guys like Troy Aikman and talk about how he saved his best for the big game situations, we give him props as a legend for that. When we talk about Jalen Hurts' legacy in the present, we got to give him props as a top quarterback, especially this year. He saved his best for the big games. He saved it for the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. And that was the deciding factor. And ultimately, Jalen Hurts won Super Bowl MVP because of that. And that already is the difference between Jalen Hurts and Donovan McNabb. Now, I'm not going to turn this into a compare and contrast the current guy versus the past guy, but I'm just saying one of the things I've seen with Hurts that compared to other Philly quarterbacks, Carson Wentz during his time with the Eagles, Donovan McNabb during his tenure with the Eagles, Hurts has more of a discipline and a leadership mentality that those guys didn't have. Now, Donovan McNabb, to some degree, I mean, his talent helped the Eagles, but he didn't have the best leadership in that locker room. And that did play a role in the drama between Owens and McNabb. But here we are now with Hurts. You're getting the type of leadership we didn't get from these past quarterbacks. And now you see the difference. In 3-season stretch, 2 Super Bowl appearances and a Super Bowl win. And in 4 seasons as the starter, all 4 seasons, the Eagles at least made the playoffs. Obviously, you can't dispute that this man is a top 4, possibly top 3 quarterback. If you want to give him the edge over Josh Allen because Hurts has done more in big game situations, you certainly could do so. Or you could still give him the nod over Lamar based on big game situations. So Jalen Hurts proved all the haters wrong, proved all the doubters that thought he was a game manager wrong. Yeah, sure, maybe he's not the greatest regular season quarterback, but when it matters most, he stepped up. And now, straight to the point out, he slipped after that first Super Bowl, which to that I do say yes, and at the same time, the whole team slipped on that season in between. That 2023 season, I blame the whole team, including Jalen Hurts. So that's part the team as a whole. And then this Super Bowl, he made everybody pretty much forget about that. Nobody's going to talk about the 2023 Eagles, how they went from 10-1 to getting destroyed in the opening round. Not now. Now the discussion's about the Philadelphia Eagles being 2-time Super Bowl champions. And can they go for 3? Possibly 4. Time will tell on that, but it is a possibility. And that's another great point. The coaching. It was like night and day. And that's something else to talk about because that made a huge difference. Look at 2023. We lost our offensive and defensive coordinators to head coaching jobs. We had to start over. We got Sean Desai on the defensive side. And then on the offensive side, we had Brian Johnson. throughout the season, the main theme was the play calling was bad, but the Eagles found a way to win. It was a sloppy game, but the Eagles keep finding ways to win. And then finally, come December, that we'll find ways to win ugly ran out, and they went on a big skid late in the season, fell to the number 5 seed, and got demolished in the opening round by the Buccaneers. Came in, got experienced coordinators, first in Kellen Moore, a head coach. Their defense well too. Mark Spears was talking about guys like Jalen Carter. Yep, and I'll get to that in a second. Then you also brought in Vic Fangio, who at the time looked like a bit of a questionable hiring at the time because of what happened in Miami. However, I feel like Vic Fangio's style fits better with the Eagles players than it did with Miami. You could clearly see the difference in the talent that they had in Miami that Fangio tried to mold versus what he did in Philly. He fits much better in Philly, and it paid off. And then you talk about, two straight to the points comment, the drafts. That was something else that played a key role. We look back really over the past 3 years, from 2020, really actually to 2021 onward, we think about it. We started that year, got Devontae Smith that year. Traded up to the 10th spot. We got him. That's definitely a thumbs up move. We got Landon Dickerson that draft as well. I mean, he's been a good offensive tackle. He's had his flaws, but he's also been a good offensive tackle. 2022, you make the big steal. A.J. Brown, snatch him from the Titans, got their big name wide receiver via trade in a draft that didn't have, where they weren't in a great position to get a top receiver. They managed to pull a steal. And then you also got Jordan Davis that draft. And then you look last year, Jalen Carter, or 2023, Jalen Carter. Then the 2024 draft, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. All these hits in the drafts started to add up. And it paid off in a Super Bowl run. And some of these guys I listed are still going to be there. They're still locked in. And based off how well Howie Roseman and that front office has done in recent drafts, I'm putting my bet on they're going to do well coming up. They're going to have more big moves planned, so stay on the lookout. Saying I think DeJean had a case for MVP. I mean, and definitely too. He certainly had a case for sure, because he certainly was a valuable player himself. He got deflection, multiple tackles, got that pick. He was played well too. And Zach Bond, there's another one. There was a gem that just blossomed this season. Came into his own. Now you know you got your linebacker for the future. And now you see all the work of Howie Roseman over the past 4 to 5 years starting to pay off. And even the Jalen Hurts pick from 2020, we have to acknowledge that. That when looking back, that 2020 draft outside of Jalen Hurts was a poor draft. But here's the thing. We did draft Jalen Hurts, which at the time was considered a fail, but looking back on it, obviously that turned out to be the right decision. Unfortunately, the Eagles made that move. Even though it was unpopular at the time, it worked out. But hey, all those years of great drafting just paid off with a Super Bowl win for the Philadelphia Eagles, man. It's just an excellent all-around season, plus the addition of Saquon Barkley in free agency. We all know about that. He's the main reason the Eagles got as far as they did through the regular season, why they got the number 2 seed, why they were able to make their way to the Super Bowl. Now, come Super Bowl time, okay, he didn't have the greatest ground game, but he was pretty solid in the passing game as well. So, to be fair, Saquon still played his role in the Super Bowl too, as an option in the passing game. So, obviously, Saquon deserves credit for this long run. Kellen Moore, much better than Brian Johnson. Now, it looks like he's going to go take the Saints head coaching job. Hopefully, we get a suitable replacement. We don't need Brian Johnson 2.0 at the helm. But for Kellen Moore, thank you for your contributions, for making this offense a juggernaut again. Best of luck in your upcoming endeavors. It looks like it'll be as the coach of the New Orleans Saints. If so, good luck. And to Vic Fangio, thanks. We're glad you're sticking around. But hey, actually, the fact that he was a failed coach, actually, now I think about head coach, is a blessing in disguise, because now that means he's experienced what it's like being a defensive coordinator and a head coach. He's more comfortable being a defensive coordinator. It's better suited for him, which is great for the Eagles. But man, there's a lot of good potentially to look forward to on top of this win. We don't really have much else to say except it was a great journey, and I did have a lot of fun doing these play-by-plays. Not these weekly recaps and previews throughout the season. I mean, I stayed to it all season long. Sometimes it did feel like it was long and it was dragging, but it was certainly worthwhile. Thanks to all you guys that came through for my streams throughout the NFL season. Thanks for stopping by to my weekly recaps, my previews. Thank you for your support, because without you guys, I wouldn't have been doing this. So I got to give everybody a shout out that came through to my streams at some point during the NFL season. And now that we're in the NFL offseason, as far as football content goes, these next couple weeks, you're not going to be really doing much. Not until we hit free agency. Once we hit free agency, there might be a few live streams where we're going to talk about the Eagles as well as the rest of the league and what they're doing during free agency. Then around draft time, we'll talk about the draft. Then you'll get to the spring and summer. Will be kind of quiet with football, which means now my basketball content will now start to pick up. So for those that follow my NBA videos and streams, I got some more NBA content coming these coming weeks. What I'm working on right now is, for those of you guys that don't know, on my channel, what I'm doing is I'm doing a little series for the NBA. My top 5 greatest NBA players for each team. I already started the list. I started a few weeks ago with the Atlanta Hawks. And as of today, I recorded the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then I'm going to do the Orlando Magic next. I already recorded it. I'm going to upload it after I go off here. So stay tuned for those vids. You can check out that playlist. Matter of fact, if anyone here is interested, I'll put the playlist in the chat. You guys can check it out yourself. So I'll do that. So that's what's going to be going on my channel. Also, Pick and Roll podcast every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me, Mitch Koski, Blaze Radio, Rios from Just Fans podcast, if the time works for him. So you can also keep an eye out for that as well. And before I go, again, shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. We the Super Bowl champs. Let's do it one more time for the Eagles fans in here.